second time through the order for Oklahoma. Second time in this series that they've seen Caitlin Riley. What would you like to see from the Sooners, whose bats have been quiet again tonight?
I'd like to see them go after just one speed and go after her drop ball. I feel like that off-speed curveball that Caitlin Riley showed from inning number 1 of game 1 is still a pitch that's working for her and keeping Oklahoma off balance, which is exactly what you want that pitch to do. There is more of a changeup that she's actually thrown in this game, so that's a different off-speed look that she's trying to work in. And Lance McMahon, her pitching coach, another great pitching coach, going head-to-head with Jen Rocha here, another good pitch caller.
Snared at first. Dukeshire taps the bag one away.
I thought it was so cool, though, when Coach Murphy talked to us about just strengthening that competitive drive and that pressure of something that he does at practice. He calls it the Thunderdome. Okay, so you have a full defense back behind your pitcher. You pick a pitcher and a catcher, and they have to go up against 5 hitters. There's that off-speed curveball.
Knocked down by Riley, 2 away.
So the pitcher and catcher have to go up against 5 hitters, and all the pitcher has to do in this Thunderdome practice is get 3 outs. If she does, then the pitcher wins. If they score, then the hitters win. So this is something that he does with a lot of pressure on the pitcher to kind of put their back against the wall to see how they're going to be able to respond when they have to get 3 outs. And it varies for who is going to be picked to be the pitcher. It was earlier in the week, Brea Hodges, the freshman, and he said she mowed them down. So pitchers have the hot hand here on the Alabama pitching staff.
And as you mentioned, pitching coming into the series was not the strength of this Alabama team. In fact, it was their offense, who is enjoying one of the best seasons in program history statistically. But the pitching this week has been elite for the Tide against one of the great offenses in the country. And now with 2 outs, Nellie McEnroe-Marinas digs in.
A 2.77 ERA is the worst in school history, the highest in school history, which still, I mean, it goes to show how good Alabama's pitching has been year after year, right? When 2.77 is the highest ERA in team history, I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, that's a very slower speed and barreling it up to tie up this game.
And silence. The crowd of over 4,000 on hand again tonight for the 3rd straight game in this series here at the Rhodes House. Sydney Barker with home run power. Ahead in the count, 2-0. And Lance McMahon, the pitching coach for the Tide, out of the dugout. How about this, Amanda? That home run by Nellie, the first run scored by Oklahoma in this series before the 7th inning. Remarkable.
It really is. You can tell Lance McMahon is just out there talking to her just to calm her down after that. Hey, it's just one pitch. Remember, you've been pitching great. Talked about it at the beginning of the game, but her last 4 SEC appearances, she's only given up 3 earned runs coming into this game in about 18 innings pitched. So runs have been hard to come by in SEC play, especially as of late off of Caitlin Riley. Remember, she transferred from Ole Miss. This will be her 1 and only year to play in an Alabama uniform. That's the way to get right back on the horse with that pitch, is to throw it in a hitter's count. Get yourself the first strike to make it a 2-1 count with that off-speed curve.
Two bases cleared, 2 down. Game tied at 1 in the top of the 4th. And a full count to Sydney Barker. One thing that Patrick Murphy has said time and again in this series, it's going to take a whole lot more than 1 run to beat Oklahoma. And Barker draws a 2-out walk after the 2-out homer by McEnroe-Marinas.
Coming into this year with all these new faces in the Oklahoma roster, Patty Gasso was thinking that they just have really good speed, maybe hit for a good average. And a couple of weekends ago, you know, when they're up there at tops of the best home run hitting teams in the country, she said, I don't even know where all this power is coming from.
Well fielded by Riley to get the speedy, fresh, not outs in fact, and wipe the potential shutout off the board. So perhaps a big home run by Nellie McEnroe-Marinas in the top half of this inning to tie it at 1 apiece. Meanwhile, Riley Valentine leads it off for Alabama here in the home half.
There's that drop ball that Sam Landry has thrown more this year. I had a chance to talk to her before this series, and I just love getting a chance to get into a pitcher's mind, any of these players' mind. I'm not just going to make it pitcher specific, but with a senior who has had 3 years of experience.
Excuse me, swing floated into left field, and it finds the grass. Base knock for Riley Valentine to start the fourth, and a little Jordan shrug back to the Alabama dugout.
Yeah, I can't even believe that Gabby Garcia had a chance to get to this play and it hit off of her glove. That's how quick she is, how good of a drop step she has to be able to get close to catching that. We talked about the speed and the quickness of the Oklahoma infield. It's a prime example, even though it goes down as a hit.
One on, nobody out for Lex Papillo. That might have caught Papillo. No, it goes off the glove of Hicks and rolls to the backstop. Up to second goes Valentine. And the second wild pitch of the game for Sam Landry.
I'm willing to say that Sam Landry is not an easy pitcher to catch with her speed and spin and late break. She's so much going for her. It's difficult to catch. There's that changeup that she says is her favorite pitch. A lot of confidence in that pitch. Good take, though, by Papillo.
Now remember, Corey Hicks, the freshman, making just her third start of the season behind the plate tonight for Oklahoma. And she calls time. 3-0 count to Papillo. Strike one. Patrick Murphy told us timely hitting, one of his 3 keys here in game 3. Bama 2 for 12 in the series with runners in scoring position. Valentine, the go-ahead run at second base, and the 3-1. Sharply hit and just foul to the left of the third base bag.
One of the best swings that we've seen Papillo have this weekend. You can tell too that Coach Murphy is looking for Papillo to find her mojo again in the box, continuing to give her chances. Feels like she's really close, knows that she's going to be a big part of their offense down the line.
Goes down on strikes. Way to battle back by Sam Landry after Papillo was ahead in the count 3-0. Fourth strikeout of the night for the Louisiana transfer.
This drop ball is just so tough. Look at it fall off the table, started at the knees, ends at the shoelaces, and a good job of Corey Hicks to capture that drop ball for the first out of the inning.
Lauren Johnson comes up bunting and foul.
And let me tell you about that drop ball that Sam Landry told me about. She said at Louisiana, Jerry Glasgow, who was the head coach at the time, told her that she had a good drop ball, but she didn't like it. She didn't think that it was good. She couldn't control it and just didn't feel like she can throw it very well. So she was just kind of stubborn about it all 3 years at Louisiana.
To third, a look back to second. Runner goes anyway. They get the runner at first. So Johnson is out, but Valentine with some sneaky base running ends up at third base with 2 outs.
And that is that drop ball. Again, she's been working on that drop ball with Coach Rocha. Coach Rocha really wanted her to focus on that pitch and told her, look, just don't get frustrated with it. Just throw it. You have your rise ball. Let's focus on that drop ball. And so she started doing that, giving it a chance. And she started actually loving it and playing into it. Now it's her most thrown pitch this season as a senior. And I like this quote that she told me. She said, it feels good to trust a pitch that I've hated my entire life. And with that drop ball and her rise ball, plus her changeup, she just makes for a tough pitcher to go up against.
Told us that's been the biggest change. Her mindset coming over to Oklahoma and being coached by the great Jen Rocha, her pitching coach. And now with 2 outs, Salin Hawkins. Strike 1.
There it is again. Different approach going up against Alabama the second time that she's facing them. Going more to that drop ball and her changeup, not as much to her rise ball that we saw her throw well in game 1.
Hawkins pops it up left side. Garcia calling everyone off, and Alabama now 0 for 8 in the game with runners in scoring position. Landry with her 4th strike since 2016 after losing the first game of the series. Abigail Dayton leads off. Takes ball 1. Larissa Pruitt into the game in right field for Lauren Johnson for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Also had a chance to talk to Abby Dayton, who has such a spunky personality, but she said that she actually changed over to be a slapper when she was 13 years old. And the funny part about it is that she tried to convince her parents to go to slapping class, but they're like, no, you can't do it. So what she ended up doing was going on YouTube. She'd sit in the office for hours and take notes about how to be a slapper and watch Chip Bennett, the former UCLA slapper. Great story, though, about just when you have your mind set to something, just showing your parents, hey, I am invested. I really want to do this. Took notes after notes after notes and became a slapper, and then even ended up making her own money through FFA to go and get slapping lessons and paid for those lessons on her own.
Not only that, Amanda led the Pac-12 in batting average last season with .431. Playing at Utah. This is her first year in Norman with the Sooners. 1 down now for Corey Hicks.
And one final thing to add on top of that, she learned from Chip Bennett, but she said one of the players that she looked up to was Haley McClenny, Alabama's very own.
Oklahoma 36-4 on the year. Began the season 28-0. It's the 3rd best start in program history. All 4 losses have since come in league play. Last night was just their 2nd road loss of the year. First came against Missouri, snapping that 28-game win streak in Columbia earlier during SEC play. 2-2 to Hicks. Base is empty, 1 down, and the pitch from Caitlin Riley upstairs.
Yeah, I think with all the new faces at Oklahoma, graduating the best senior class to ever play Division I softball, really, with what they did with 4 national championships. I don't think a lot of people would have believed that Oklahoma would start out 28-0 again. And even Coach Gasso said that this team has just passed my expectations, to be honest.
And a walk drawn by Corey Hicks, her first time aboard tonight.
Goes back to that off-speed curveball that is lower in the zone, and Coach Murphy's not happy that this pitch isn't called for a strike, because it seems like we've seen this exact height and location get called. And look, to me, Riley Valentine framed that pitch and brought it up a little bit, but look at where she's catching that ball as well beyond the plate. To me, where that pitch crosses the plate is right at the knees at the bottom of the zone, and easily could have been a strike called with where he has had his strike zone called in this game.
Second walk of the night for Riley. Third free pass if you include the error back in the first inning. Free passes were one of the things that Patrick Murphy pointed to in terms of success for Alabama over the first two games. Now can Oklahoma take advantage? Tia Malloy will pinch run at first base. She has speed to steal. And at the plate, the 9-hitter Hannah Core. Malloy has 6 swipes this season. She represents the go-ahead run in the 5th. And a 3-0 count to Core. Taking all the way, strike one.
Hannah Core is a story of true perseverance. 2 back surgeries, sprained her ankle earlier this season. I mean, she has just battled to get back on the field, especially after that sprained ankle and her surgeries. Great defensively. Coach Gasso has a ton of respect and just can't even explain the amount of pain that Hannah Core has been through to get back onto the field. Battled through a lot.
Chopper to third, runner was going, and across the diamond a completed throw by Elstad. 2 outs and Malloy into scoring position.
I wanted to check out this adjustment by Cassidy Pickering, why she's been so hot. Struck out on this rise ball against Brisky earlier in the game, and then the next at bat, Brisky tried to go right back to that rise ball, and look at what Cassidy Pickering did for a double. Not a lot to write home about for Oklahoma's offense in yesterday's game, but I really feel like the way that Pickering is seeing the ball right now is a bright spot. That's why they have her in that leadoff spot, to get her up to bat as many times as possible. And now she has a chance with the runner in scoring position, making good in-game adjustments against any type of pitches that she's facing.
And on the other side, Lance McMahon out of the dugout to discuss how perhaps to pitch Cassidy Pickering. How would you go after the top hitter in the Oklahoma lineup here?
Well, if I'm going to get that off-speed curveball called right at the knees on the outside corner, like what was called in her last at bat, I'd go back to that. But you saw how Pickering is at making adjustments when you throw her the same pitch twice. So you got to keep the ball mixing around on both sides of the plate. Continue to mix speeds.
Hard hit to Hevelin, and that will end the inning. Caitlin Riley pitching around a 1-out walk keeps it a 1-1 game as we head to the home half of the 5th.
Or they're creating chaos on the base pass with hitters like White and Vandegrift coming up.
So it'll be White, Vandegrift, Hevelin. Great speed, and of course Hevelin has seen the ball very well against Landry in this series. Multiple extra base hits. White chops it at short. Top play won't get there from Garcia.
Exactly what she needed to do was just put the ball on the ground, create a couple of hops, 1 hop, 2 hop, and then when you have the speed like Kristen White, when it hops twice, it's almost always going to be an infield single with the way that she gets down the line. As a slapper, that's exactly what you want to see. Create 2 hops, use your speed to get down.
Here is Vandegrift. Will White test the freshman Hicks? making her third start behind the plate tonight. And in fact, Isabella Emmerling has come into the game behind home for Oklahoma. She is the starter, and she has White in a rundown. White in trouble, tagged by Agbayani. And that right there is why they made the switch.
Well, it's a way to show your head coach, too, that you want to be out there, that you're going to play big, you're going to be a leader back behind the plate. Look at her communicating now. I mean, there was a reason that she did not start this game and Corey Hicks got the start. And now that she's back in there, she's got to play big like that.
That is a huge play by Isabella Emmerling. And now trying to calm down Sam Landry with the bases empty and one down. 2-1 count to Vandegrift.
Look, when you're used to being the everyday whatever position player, catcher, third base, center fielder, and you don't get the start in game 3 of a rubber match on the road, that's a wake-up call. Your coach is sending a wake-up call right to you, not just for Emmerling. This is not just an Emmerling thing. Anybody across the country. It's all about how you respond after that.
Hicks starting the game, the freshman behind the plate. One of a couple of changes that Patty Gasso made just to light a fire in her team for game 3. Here's the payoff from Landry. Spoiled by Vandegrift.
You're not going to see Vandegrift slap like a lot of left-handed hitters with speed. She'll lay down a bunt, but swing away. Has some pop, hits for average.
Seeking her third hit of the game. Up the middle. What a snare by Landry, fielding her position. 2 outs in the 5th.
We've seen some really good fielding plays by pitchers in this game, by Caitlin Riley and now by Sam Landry. That got on her quickly. She was even falling toward first base, releasing that pitch, so she had to go to her backhand across her body with those long arms and long legs. She's about 6 feet tall, and that length helped her out.
Callie Hevelin with 2 down. 4 for 8 in the series. 3 of those hits against Sam Landry, including a pair of doubles. Drove in the lone run of the game for Alabama back in the 3rd. Enjoying the best season of her career at the plate by far. Batting average and on-base percentage up 100 points. Slugging up 300 points. Take strike 2.
When you look at the change of the entirety of the Alabama offense, there's increases in all the numbers. Callie Hevelin, of course, a big part of that offense, and she has the experience, a veteran, a leader on this team. A much better Alabama offense top to bottom this year.
To third. McEnroe Marinas makes the play. And the minimum faced in the 5th for Landry. It remains tied at 1 as we head to the 6th.
Her combined numbers for the series, almost 11 innings pitched, only 1 run given up against the Sooners.
Gabby Garcia swinging and fouling it back to start the 6th. And as we talked about, Amanda, it's not just this series for Caitlin Riley, but her last 4 SEC appearances coming into game 3. 17 2/3 innings, 12 strikeouts, just 3 earned runs.
This is going to be a test for her now. 3rd time through the order. These hitters are now seeing her for 6 at-bats now in this series. And Gabby Garcia, Ella Parker, and until that Nellie McEnroe Marinas home run have been hitless in this series. which you just don't see a series very often where the names, they're just freshmen and sophomores, but Gabby Garcia, Ella Parker, and Nelly are held down for that long. But that's how good Alabama's pitchers have been this weekend.
Well, that home run by Nelly was the only hit in the game for Oklahoma. Hard to believe, but the pitching of Alabama has just been so good. 80th pitch of the game coming from Riley. To third, scooped by Elstad and one away. And as you mentioned, Caitlin Riley coming over from Ole Miss, where she pitched 3 years, went to the NCAA tournament all 3 seasons, led the Rebels in innings pitched in 2023. Has loved her brief time in Tuscaloosa. In fact, Patrick Murphy told us she came to him about midway through the season and said, "Coach, how do I fit 4 years into 10 months? I love it here."
She's gotten hit a little bit too. See her in the starting lineup at times, offensively.
Coming into the series, hit 346 and 52 at bats. Did Alabama's starting pitcher tonight. Tosses a strike to Ella Parker to level the count at 2-2.
Just need to put that pitch right there on repeat. I would go right back to that off-speed curveball, that exact same place. See if I could get Ella Parker out in front.
That is roped by Parker. And just the second hit of the night for Oklahoma. 1 on in the 6th.
So Caitlin Riley tried to go back to that off-speed curveball, but she missed it. And this is the importance of just being able to throw a pitch on a dime to the same spot. So this is the pitch before that got a called strike. She tried to go back to that off-speed curveball, but look at the different location. Out over the heart of the plate, up in the zone, and Ella Parker gets her first hit of the series.
Nellie McEnroe Marinas homered in her last at bat to tie the game at 1. 8 of her 11 home runs this year have come in league play. Oh, 2.
Nasty drop ball there on the inner half. Remember, it was that off-speed curveball that she got up in the zone that was just not on a corner, not down enough, that she belted out of here for a home run.
High fly ball, center field. White is there. Second out of the inning.
It's a big out.
Go ahead run aboard with 2 outs. Sydney Barker at the plate. One of 10 freshmen for the Oklahoma Sooners this year. Scorched to short and flipped to second. Hawkins to Hevelin to end the inning. And Riley cruising through 6. It remains tied in T-Town.
His daughter a ways away, all the way in Seattle, Washington.
Representing a strong contingent of Alabama football personnel and players in attendance on another packed night.
Yeah, the whole football team is here right
Notice
tonight.
They all have a snack, Amanda.
Got ahead of the concessions.
Got to keep weight on during spring ball. This is flared into left. Good track down by Abigail Dayton, 1 away. I can't rag on him too much because I've had snacks about every inning in here.
Oh yeah, it takes one to know one for that, for sure. You are a snack just connoisseur.
Now, Alabama has set an attendance record for a 3-game series this weekend. Football team helping out in that effort tonight. Nearly 13,000 over the 3 games this weekend against Oklahoma. And boy, has the series lived up to the hype. One to Abby Dukeshire. So often these teams have met in the postseason. As Sid Sanders comes back in at first base. She has been the regular starter at first. Sydney Barker, the freshman, got the start in her place tonight. Now she comes in the 6th. This is just the 2nd time ever that these two teams have played in Tuscaloosa, and the first time in the regular season. Here's the 1-2 to Dukeshire.
And a weekend full of offense. This game has ended up turning into a pitcher's duel. When I say full of offense, I mean across the SEC. Just really high scores all over the SEC and the conference. Tons of home runs hit. But in game 3, the final game of this weekend, got a pitcher's duel going between Riley and Landry.
And it has felt postseason-esque all weekend here. Highly competitive. Not just game to game, but at bat to at bat. The 2-2.
Sam Landry just accelerates so fast in her snap. Her whip, whenever her stride foot lands and hits the ground after she pushes off, that final quarter of her pitch, when she comes through her snap, she really comes through fast. .79 pitches thrown into the bottom of the 6th inning. Remember, in game 1, her complete game, she only threw 94 pitches. So efficient.
Bama manages 3 hits off her in game 1, 5 tonight. Good AB here from Dukeshire, spoiling a couple of nice pitches. 8th pitch of the at bat coming on the 3rd full count of the night for Sam Landry. Dukeshire fights it off into left field and down for a base hit. She is aboard for the first time tonight.
That's just a gritty at bat there by Abby Dukeshire. Fouled off a ton of pitches, struck out in her first at bat on a changeup against Landry, and she tries to go up in the zone with this rise ball, and she just gets enough of her barrel on it to get it out of the reach of Gabby Garcia again. Fights off that rise ball, fought off a lot of pitches in that at bat. Or lead off, or for a single, 1 out.
Now Kinley Pate will come in to pinch run. She has already scored a run as a pinch runner in this series, and has the ability to steal a bag. 3 for 3 this year, with Riley Valentine digging in, and 1 down in the 6th. Valentine singled in her last at bat against Landry back in the 4th.
Tough one to grab by Emmerling, who was set up on the outside corner, and it bled back over the plate. With the speed and movement of Landry, again, when she's not hitting that spot, she is hard to catch.
Alabama just 1 for 10 in this game with runners on. Oklahoma 0 for 8. Offense has come at a premium tonight. And the 1-2, a swing and a miss. 5 strikeouts tonight for Landry and 2 down in the 6th.
That pitch is just so good. It's her flip change. She says it's the only pitch only changeup I've ever thrown. Coaches have tried to get me to throw a horseshoe change, a circle change. You name the different types of changeups that coaches have tried to get Sam Landry to throw, but she constantly goes back to that flip change. It's her favorite pitch.
Larissa Pruitt will now bat in the 6th spot in the place of Lex Papillo. Her first AB of the night after replacing Lauren Johnson in right field a couple of innings ago. And Landry gets out of the inning. We head to the 7th of Game 3, tied at 1 in the series and